2019 Chevy Spark, how to change the clutch. I could not get a socket, a 36mm socket to fit inside there. I couldn't find any in town. So I improvised. I just pulled the strut, 2 bolts on the strut, and I pulled the nut for this. I took my pry bar and I pried this one out. I took my pry bar and I just pried, get a light. Okay. And I pried it right up out of my shaft. I had to pull the clutch bolts all the way around it. I didn't even realize these 19s had a drain port. So if you have a manual transmission, your drain port, or your fill is right above your drain. That thing there, back there, with your shift cables connect into, I didn't know how to disconnect that, so we just left that and just working with the transmission as best as we can. This is my clutch out of it. I don't think it looks too bad for 92,000 miles. I have a flywheel, but we're going to put a flywheel in it because it got a little dirty. I sprayed some brake clean in there, but it's barely got anywhere to it. So we're just going to leave that be. I hit this with some brake clean. I put a new throw-up bearing. I think my problems were actually the throw-up bearing, not the clutch. That's a pain in the ass. Here's a tip. Here's what I did. Take wire cutters. It's that metal rod right there. Just cut that and slide that out. And pull that out through the top. Pull that piece, that nipple out right through the top. And disconnect it. Pull that pin on your new one. Disconnect that rod, stick it in there, stick the throw-up bearing in there, pop it all back together. I think there is a bolt you can pull that shaft out. I don't like messing with stuff like that. Not my style. I pulled the starter. The starter's still up there. I just moved it up out of the way. And disconnected. There's a reverse light. There's a neutral switch, I think, something like that. Oh yeah, the kill switch on the back side over here. You have to disconnect a couple wires there. Put a jack stand on your motor here. I'll probably exhaust with a rag. It'll work just fine. Transmission's pretty easy to work with. If you need to move it, wedge it, I just use a strap. Strap it up back about my place. I don't strap it all the way back up in there. Just enough. Just enough to get up in here. It's pretty light. You hit a jack. I think I got a strap now. See, it's pretty. Put a jack on, you can throw that around wherever you want to throw it. Other than that, I'm not sure how to bleed this yet. We'll just wing it. I think you just undo the cap. It's a cap you undo and you twist it a certain way, I believe. I could be wrong. We'll figure it out. I won't break it. This one needs a transmission mount. I replaced the top ones, but that transmission mount's kind of shot. Alright, too much more to it that I could think of right now. There's a couple videos out there, but they don't show you everything. it's best to pull the motor mount all the way out. See, there's strut there. Just cut that, pop that out. You can barely push that in. The one I just put in here, you can push it in. Take this motor mount all the way off. Transmission slide around pretty good free. You're gonna need one of these for sure. A couple quarts of oil. If you order a GM flywheel, you don't need to order bolts with it. It comes with the bolts on the flywheel. You order the all these tools, all these bolts, just to get this thing. It didn't hurt to do it. Now that I actually look at it, yeah, it's matte. It's fucker fine. Transmission's yeah, see these grooves right here? That flywheel has those same grooves. I ain't gonna mess with pulling that flywheel. Last time I did a flywheel on a pickup, I ended up snapping a bolt. That's what the fuck. The fingers might be a little shot too on this one. Hopefully it was just that slave cylinder, because my clutch is like butter. But yeah, we'll throw a new clutch in. Oh, another thing. It does not come with an alignment tool. If you find an alignment tool for a Chevy Spark, I'll tell you right now, you ain't gonna find one. Nope, you're gonna need this kit. Okay, so it's gonna be 6 for that one. Okay. It's the biggest this one goes out to. But we're just winding the clutch up to the motor. Okay, so I see now. I see. Never really used one of these, so it's kind of new to me. Alien technology, I reckon. Yeah, with that clutch, she is a little fucked. Yeah, it didn't hurt to. Okay. Of course, you're gonna need to pull the battery. You're gonna need to pull the battery box. You're gonna need. I left half the motor mount there and just pulled those 2 bolts, make it a little easier. Left the coolant tank where it was, just bought it around. Pulled the computer, just slapped it up on here. I think the trickiest part to this is getting that damn starter. Well, no, it's getting that cable out of there because I couldn't get that. I couldn't figure out how to come up out of there. As you see, new GMs are out there as well. And as you can see, we got a 36mm socket, but it was too thick to slide up in there, and I couldn't find anything else. Oh, that's nothing to mention. I pulled the speed sensors. It's a Allen key on both sides. Kick that up out of the way. And this side, as you see, I just pulled. I might pull the brake. My brain's fried. I've been out this half a day. Caliper. I might pull the caliper on this side. This is pretty heavy, so it may take some work to wiggle this one back in. I was going to check my struts while I was at it, but I can't really check them. It's more likely they're mint or getting close to being mint. Same process, just pulling that comes out pretty easy with the crowbar. Crowbar pops right out of there. So even if you can't find the nut, if you can find a socket for this, let me show you a trick. Get me kept y'all on here. Okay, so here's a trick. Only a master mechanic like me can tell you. Okay, you're gonna need this right here. Get you a Craftsman 6mm socket. John, what the hell do you need a Craftsman 6mm socket for? Well, hell, I'm about to show you. Okay, you take this wrench right in there and you pry it on it. Get that bitch around so you can stick that in there, see? See, Sonny? Stick that sucker in there, just like so. Might tap it in with a sledgehammer first couple times, and then you can wedge down on that. That pushes that up. 6mm socket, a wrench, I mean. And be a pro like me. Alrighty, and now you know if you have 19 spark. There's a fill. I figured there was a fill port up on the top there, but the way it sets in there, you know, you can't quite see it until you pull it, and then you're like, oh. And you see my drain plug's been pulled a couple times, but the fill port's never been pulled. I got a little bit of an oil leak on the side of my transmission too. Yeah, it's got a little bit of a leak right up under that cover. I went to GM, they don't seem to have a gasket for it. It don't even drip, it just leaks around the case like that. That's about it. There's a new throwout bearing in there. I'm just gonna take a rag and wipe that up and make that mess I made up on it. Good and new. Pull that speed sensor as well. We just pop that axle out. Don't be afraid of it. Get you a good set of pry bars. Just like these right here. Get a 3-pack of pry bars. You ain't gonna hurt nothing, just put a pop right on there. Trust me. You have fun fighting those clips. There's a sensor underneath. It got the wire cutter treatment to it. To get it to be loose to get the transmission out of the way, you gotta stick a screwdriver in that and pop it off. But then half of the clip is still stuck in a bracket, and you'll finally fight it and try to get it out of there. And then finally, you be like me, you take the wire cutter treatment, and the wire cutter treatment does wonders. Never let you down. That's one thing if you're ever working on these cars and something's giving you a problem. Wire cutters. You put in a radiator, all the plastic tabs in your way. Wire cutters. Why fight it when you can cut it out? You know you're gonna get the new part in a lot easier than you're gonna get the old one out. I think I've shared that secret with you. I think we're good on everything else. Oh, you're gonna want this thing up in the air higher than I got it. I mean, I'm cramped up under it. You can do it, but you're gonna be cramped. You might want to put something on that when you pop that hydraulic line for a clutch, it's just gonna piss oil. All it's gonna do is piss off your motor because you're getting on concrete. But as you can see, my clutch reservoir is down to nothing now. It's leaked this whole reservoir out. But and then I just pull the bolts, stick the bolts back in so you don't lose them, kick them around. Oh, that's a good point. That's why we keep you guys on the line here. These things right here, they just pop out. These I figured out. You can just pop these out. They just pop out. See, right there, that ball right there. Take pry bar, pry those right off there. I pop right off. This is that what the starter? Yeah, I think you can see the starter right. Yeah, right there at the housing. See, it's still just sitting in there loose. There's some kind of. Oh, you gotta remove the ground wire first. And then it'll give you access to pull those bolts easier. That bottom one, I think it's a 15. The top's either 15 or 14 as well. It's probably 15. It's a 15, but you gotta pull a couple ground wires up out of the way, and it makes it a lot easier to get into them. Hopefully I'll get this finished up tonight. Got a special detail at the police department tomorrow, so I won't be able to work on it tomorrow. Maybe until later. If anything, I'll have Sunday. I'll probably wrap it up Sunday. Shit. Yeah, down there, I think that's probably your neutral sensor or something like that. That kill switch is my guess what that is. So if one of you fellers figures out how to, under that red tab right there, under that cable on the back side, there's a nut. There's a bolt that's recessed in there. The only way to get to that bolt is to pop that cable off of there. So right here, my finger is. There's a bolt there. Right behind this bracket, there's a bolt there. But there's a bolt right under here. And I bet you GM knows what I think about them for putting that right there. They didn't need to be there. They probably just wanted me to pay $2 grand at the GM dealer. But guess what? We ain't paying you $2 grand to put a clutch in. With the clutch and the tools, I'm probably about $5 into it. Clutch, GM clutch was probably about $310. With the clutch, the slave cylinder, and the flywheel. And some, I ordered flywheel bolts because I didn't know. I wanted to make sure I had everything. Didn't need them. Yeah, we'll just wipe that sucker up right there. Oh shoot, I think that's everything. Oh, once I get all this done, another little secret for you Chevy Sparks. This guy. If you want to do your tire pressure monitor, you need one of these to reset it. So once we get it all running, all back together, we will do that. So I got my tires over here, battery box, battery. Only put those AC Delco batteries are pretty damn good, I'll tell you what. I'm coming for anything in the cold one. Because you deserve it. Alright, now back to this sucker. Sun's going down already. I think that's about it. I think I'm going to use this as my part 1. I'll make a part 2 of it kind of going back together. I just want to make sure I cover everything, because the one thing I've noticed is they don't cover everything with these clutch jobs. I'm doing it all by myself. So one person can do it. all by themselves. You don't need two people to do it. They ratchet strap it to the frame. I mean, you can see my ratchet straps with it. They're doing a lot of justice right there. That transmission's probably only 150 pounds. We'll throw that sucker around. Well, if you have any questions, ask. I hope you guys can answer my question about how the hell you pop. I figured that back piece unscrewed, but who knows? I broke the little ear off the one thing, taking pliers to it. Oh well. Oh well. I never bled one of these clutch before. I wonder if they'll bleed my. Shouldn't have to bleed my brakes, but mine. Well, they just share the reservoir. That's right. So I'll fill that back up, bleed my clutch. This is a good old car. I'm gonna tell you guys. You ever get one of these Chevy Sparks? Get the 5-speed manual, that's for sure. It's a little dirty. I use it out on the ranch, but it does pretty good. All right, just kept on here just a little bit longer, just to make sure I kind of covered everything, kind of showed everything. Just know that 36mm socket's gonna be hard to find. Get you some good jack stands, throw it on, some jacks. Good to go. That's a starter bolt. That's the top nut. So it's probably 15. That's the top nut on the starter. That's the bottom one. You pull that ground out this way, and then this bolt slides undo that. And this goes to one of the ground wires on the starter. Definitely gonna need a breaker bar. You're gonna need some Allen wrenches. The throwout bearing bolts or Allen. I have a 5mm or 6mm, 5 to 6 for the Allen key. These are that same Allen that for this right here. These bolts here for these speed sensors. Let's see, I got speed sensor. We're gonna just wrap it up there. That jack's just sitting there in case anything falls. It ain't gonna fall out. There's no room for it to fall out. So, all right, folks. I think I'll try to wrap this up. And once I get it in, make a part 2. Yeah, a lot easier. I moved my kicked my caliper over there, so I wasn't stretching out my line. But yeah, I'll make a part 2 on it for sure. Hopefully this answers a lot of people's questions about it. Unedited version, we ain't even gonna edit it. It's just what you get's what you get. If you have any questions, for sure, let me know. I think I've covered it all. Alright, folks, let me start lining this up and get this bolted up. And after that, we'll make a part 2. We'll kind of go back in together there. And then we'll make a part 3 or so, test driving it. So, alright, folks. Have a good day.